Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Milligan, and today we're going to be looking at the reasons why marriage is a bond between a man and a woman that God created. That divorce, cohabitation, and same-sex marriage is not part of God's redemptive plan for the human race. Myself, I've been a pastor now for 5 years at Rock Hill Church. I've been in the ministry for 20 years, and out of those 20 years, at 17 of those years, I've been pastoring, and there's been many times that I've dealt with such situations. There's not a person on the face of this earth that has not been affected by the misuse of marriage. Broken homes, confusion of gender, rejection from non-commitments that leave people feeling less than what they really are. If we were to take marriage and place it back into our society the way that God created it, it would stop the destruction that every person has experienced from the misuse of marriage. Marriage is a union between a man and a woman created by God that is in great need to be refocused in our community to the original form that is found in the holy word of God that brings healing to our land. I will now validate the importance of marriage between a man and a woman. Second, we will prove with clear evidence of the destruction that takes place in our home and society when divorce is on the rise. Lastly, we will provide sustainable evidence of the decline of fulfilled homes with cohabitation when it takes place. We will not now take a look at the importance between marriage between a man and a woman. The lines between what is and should be accepted in the union between two people have been very blurred in our society. God has created marriage for the purpose, and that purpose can only be fulfilled between a man and a woman. Now we see in the holy word of God Jesus Christ speaking in Matthew 19, 4 through 6. He said, "Haven't you read that he who created the beginning made them man and woman, female and male?" And then Jesus said, "For this reason the man will leave his father and his mother, and he will go and cling to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." So God's redemptive plan for mankind was between a man and a woman. Now, reproduction. To reproduce our kind, according to Richard J. Harris, the author of the Reproductive System, survey has it that it takes a man and a woman, not two of the same. And then lastly, completion. In Genesis 2, 22 to 24, God created a woman from the rib of a man. And for that reason, that man will leave his mother and father and cling to his wife, making that completion of that oneness in flesh. Now that we have seen the importance of marriage that is between a man and a woman, let's take a look at the effects that single, divorced families have on generations to come. Now, a study was done by Andrew J. Claridge by Marriage, Divorce, and Remarriage between 1980 and 1981 uncovered that children in repeated divorces get lower results at school. The other children of their age rated them to be less pleasant to be around. And obviously that less pleasantness comes from being in a home without both parents. A study that was done by Peter Hill, Recent Advances in Selected Aspects of Adolescence Development, said that teenage children of divorce are 3 times more likely, 35% instead of 13%, to need psychological help in any given year. That's outstanding. And then lastly, children that are living with both biological parents are 20 to 35% physically healthier than children with broken homes, according to Deborah Dawson from Family Structure and Children's Health and Well-Being. So we see that a house that has both parents in it, our children are even healthier by doing so. They need mom and dad both to be in there. And we're going to now take a look at the effects that takes place when a couple decide to cohabit together instead of being married. One term that I have found that young couples find hard to grasp and to understand is commitment. We find that there's a large group that believes cohabitation is the way to go instead of actually being married. So we will now take a look at some statistics that will suggest otherwise. Married people gave higher marks to their own health than those that were just living together. Possibly it's due to the marriage's legal benefits, like joint health care. And I love this one right here. It says, men especially seem to get a healthier kick from tying the knot. Obviously, because we do crazy things. So that's from Allison and D. Rose from Romance Face-Off, Cohabitation versus Marriage. Recent research from RAND Corporation demonstrates that couples who cohabit are substantially less certain about the performance of their relationships than those who are married. They report lower levels of feeling completely committed and commitment from their partner, especially if they're females, or in the disconnection between males. Results from this studies show the cohabiting relationships are associated with lower levels of reported closeness, love, satisfaction, and intimate dimensions. So we see that through that study that it's important that we don't just cohabit together, but we go into holy matrimony and a bond between a man and a woman and being focused on what God created marriage to be. So with this information that has been provided, there's no wonder why our society is in decline and marriage between a man and a woman is now more than ever important for the survival of the human race. So we took a look at the importance of the holy bond in marriage between a man and a woman. We can see the evidence that the reproduction that only takes place between a man and a woman. And we also understand the connection between a man and a woman becoming one flesh. Then we looked at what takes place between our children when there's divorce. How our children suffer for generations to come when a family's not together in one mind, one accord, living according to the way the Bible tells us that we ought to live. Lastly, we looked at the health and connection that married couples receive due to the bond that created from a committed relationship and the unhappiness that eventually comes in play when cohabitation is the choice over marriage. So I'm asking you today, with this information that's been provided, it's clear that we are created in the image of God. Should we not bring marriage back to a high standard between a man and a woman? If we want our children to grow up to be those that love God, that are great people for our society, then we as adults need to be committed to our relationships, and we need to provide a safe place for both our marriage and our children to live within. Anyone can conceive a child, play the part of a cohabitation player, but it takes a person with the love of Christ to commit and fulfill the duties of marriage. As the Word tells us, what God has placed together, let no one pull it apart. Thank you for your time.